We are now closing out the most active summer for union organizing and strikes I can remember in my lifetime. You got the Writers Guild and the Screen Actors Guild both still on strike. The Teamsters Union came within days of a nationwide strike against UPS and then struck a contract. Today, probably the most legendary, storied union in this nation, the United Auto Workers, faces a deadline for reaching an agreement with the big three automakers. In just a few minutes at 10 p.m. Eastern, the union president is scheduled to tell his members which plants they will start striking if no agreement is reached by midnight. He sounds pretty determined in his speech to members yesterday.
They could double our wages and not raise car prices and still make billions of dollars in profit. They want to scare the American people into thinking the auto workers are the problem. We're not the problem. That chart is the problem. Corporate greed is the problem. And come tomorrow night, if they force us, we're about to make it the big three's problem.
Senator Bernie Sanders, independent of Vermont, chairs the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee. He's scheduled to join the man you saw there, Shawn Fain, UAW president, for a rally in Detroit tomorrow, and he joins me now. Senator, do you have obviously, I know you support the union. You'll be there with the union tomorrow. Do you have a kind of rooting interest here, the outcome you want to see?
Yeah, the outcome I want to see is that the UAW workers get the kind of contract they deserve. You know, the corporate media hasn't covered this very well, but the reality is over the last 20 years, real wages for automobile workers has gone down by 30% when you account for inflation. So what the workers are saying is at a time when the CEOs of Ford, he makes $21 million. The guy who's head of Stellantis, he makes $25 million a year. Woman who's head of General Motors, $29 million. Their salaries have gone up by 40% over the last 4 years. They have billions of dollars for dividends and stock buybacks. And what the workers are saying is, hey, we made you those profits. We gave you those salaries. Pay attention to our needs. We don't want to see a situation where workers at the low end make it all of $17 an hour. And I'll tell you something, Chris. You mentioned that all over this country we're seeing strikes, and you're right. And I think what's happening is working people all across this country are sick and tired of the corporate greed they are seeing every day. They see it when they go to the grocery store. Food prices incredibly high, gas prices incredibly high, companies making money hands over fist. And I really applaud the courage of Shawn Fain and the workers at the UAW for standing up and saying, you know what, enough is enough. We need an economy that works for everybody, not just the people on top.
I want to just show some of the demands, UAW, 36% wage increase over 4 years. One of the things I want to do, this is actually a key one, and this is a little in the weeds, but it's important for people to recognize. There are sort of these tiers that have emerged in successive rounds of organizing where newer workers aren't working at the same tier as others. It's a way of kind of breaking up the solidarity of the union. It's something that Shawn Fain has been opposed to, and the folks that elected him, so we'll see how that goes. I want to ask you this question on that context. We have seen all of this union activity at Starbucks, at Amazon, the Teamsters, you know, and UPS. What you said workers are waking up, but it strikes me that part of the issue here is that you've got tight labor markets, and employees have more choice now than they did during that long period after the Great Recession, where you had a lot of slack in the labor market, 6, 7, 8% unemployment. People were worried they were replaceable. It seems to me this environment has given workers more say and more power in their negotiations with ownership.
I think there is truth to that, Chris, but I think it really goes deeper. I think COVID, the pandemic, was a real emotional wake-up for the American people. You know, the rich people, the CEOs, could stay at home and work in their fancy offices or in their homes behind their computers. Working people at the UAW, bus drivers, people working in warehouses, nurses, doctors, they had to go out to work. And tens of thousands of them died. And meanwhile, during that whole pandemic, we saw an explosion of wealth increases for the people on top. So yeah, the tight labor market is a factor, Chris. But I really think that people are becoming sick and tired of the massive levels of income and wealth inequality that they're seeing today. No one thinks that 3 people on top should own more wealth than than the bottom half of American society, that CEOs are making 400 times more than their workers. That's not what this country is supposed to be about. That's what the UAW is telling the American people, and I think there's massive support for what they're trying to do.
I want to play this clip that got a lot of play. It sort of went viral. It's a sort of random clip because it's just an Australian property developer. But what he's articulating at this conference with other property developers is a view that I think a lot of people in management or ownership at least have about exactly this awakening that's happened post-COVID, right? That people have this sort of idea that, like, they want to be treated with dignity, they want fairness. This is him saying we need unemployment to rise to knock the arrogance out of these workers. Take a listen.
We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40, 50%, in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around.
We need to remind people they work for the employer, not the other way around. What do you think of that?
I think it's disgusting. And it's, hard to believe that you have that kind of mentality among the ruling class in the year 2023. This is the richest country in the history of the world, and yet we still have 60% of our people living paycheck to paycheck. People can't afford housing. People can't afford health care. They can't afford child care. They can't afford to send their kids to college. And what these guys are saying, hey, this is all great. Working class is in disarray. Let's have more unemployment. We can get richer and richer, make them more and more desperate. That is the kind of greed and arrogance that the UAW and unions all over this country are standing up to. I applaud them, and I would hope that all of us as Americans stand with the UAW in their struggle.